Welcome back once again. So week 11, still week 11. If you haven't seen the other videos, check them out in the links. So there's 3 videos that have been published in week 11. We've got our hidden, that are all about key themes rather than talking about underlining keywords and everything like that. We've got hidden arithmetic questions. There's lots of those that crop up, mostly for 2 marks. We've got the skill of conversion and spotting those converting questions. And today's video is all about decimals and whole numbers. Okay, so these questions crop up quite a lot with money and measure, where we have questions that basically in the question it talks about paying with a £5 note or a £2 coin, which is essentially a whole number, but then we spend in pounds and pence. So the problem that children encounter is the fact that we have a whole number and a decimal number, and if they're not confident with subtracting decimals from whole numbers, those questions can be lost marks. And normally in the SATs papers, there's 2 of 3 of these that crop up, and they often use the word change, finding change. So this theme is all about diving into that and making sure that we get those easy marks, because in nearly all of the examples, there's 2 marks available. So for me, these are easy marks to pick up. All of this content is covered in SATs Like a Ninja. Just like in the other videos, please make sure that you like and subscribe the YouTube channel, which enables me to make more. But this is a really simple video talking about how we make sure we spot these questions where we need to find change, or we need to work with whole numbers and decimals and normally subtract. They're super easy marks with a few little steps, taking into that skill of arithmetic and your skills from the arithmetic paper and applying them here to get these easy marks. So that's it from me. Let's get stuck into the content and let's see how we can get those easy marks. So as with all SATs questions, when we get into reasoning, the key thing when we encounter a reasoning question is to really think about the information that is presented to us. And we need to do this quite quickly. So it's being able to see a question and just see some of the key bits of information. Now, these images are just really distractions. The numbers that are held within them are the key parts that we want to sort of make ourselves aware of. So if we just highlight some of these bits off to start with, if we use a highlighter. So we've got 5-litre bag of compost. We've got a 2.75. She uses 2.75 litres. We've got 5 litres over here, which is representative. So again, it's just making ourselves aware of these really, really simple facts. There's nothing else there. Emma has a 5-litre bag of compost. She uses 2.75 litres. How much does she have left? So that is a simple subtraction problem. Now, the problem that a lot of people will encounter, or pupils will start to encounter, is they'll struggle with this number as just being 5 and let's change the colour, and this being a decimal of 2.75. So really, I always prompt pupils to think back to your arithmetic. Now, if you had this problem of 5 take away 2.75, you would naturally go into a decimal subtraction. So if you couldn't do this problem mentally, I'd be prompting you to make the 5 litres into a decimal. So 5.00 take away 2.75. Now, obviously, you would have a ruler available. You would do that and carry out the problem. 0 take away 5, we can't do that. So we're going to exchange. We'll go through that problem. That becomes 9, and we can go from there. So that's going to be 5. 9 take away 7 is 2. 4 take away 2 is 2. So we've got 2.25 litres. So the easy way to do that would have been to realise we have essentially a whole number in terms of 5 litres. She uses 2.275, which is suggesting a takeaway. And then we need to find some space somewhere on the paper to carry this out. And that's how we would solve that kind of question. So it's being aware of whole numbers and decimals and just taking ourselves back to the arithmetic paper in terms of the skill and using that skill of subtracting decimals from whole numbers to answer the question. Now, again, if we were to have a quick look at this question, we've got Jack buys milk and orange from the shop. Again, we've got images that are really, they're not there to trick us, but they are just a bit of a distraction. He pays with a £5 note, so I'm spotting straight away we've got a whole number of 5. So it's how do we go about doing that? Okay, so we've got numbers here that are important to note, and we have a number here that's important to note. And we've got the concept of change, all right? And change, whenever we're talking about change, if we see the word change, how much change in our minds. So I'm just going to write it over here. Change is basically telling us to subtract, okay? So change basically means the difference between. So if we had £10 and we spent £5, we're basically, to work out the change, we would subtract, okay? So 10 take away 5 would be 5. We would get £5 in change. So again, here with this problem, we've got 2 marks available, and that's because we're going to need to add these two together and then subtract the total of these two from £5, which again is going to be a decimal subtraction. So we've got space to work in here, but I'm also going to use this space here just so you can see it. So the step 1, again, classic 2-step problem, is to add £1.45. So that's 1.45, add 2.40. That is going to be 5 add 0 is 5, 4 add 4 is 8, 1 add 2 is 3. So essentially we've got £3.85. So we've spent, or the cost of the milk and the orange juice was £3.85. So to work out the change between £5 and the £3.85, we need to do a subtraction. And again, the problem that arises here is because 5 is a whole number, and some children won't be confident enough to just see that it's £1.15 change. If you could do that mentally, that's great. If not, we're just making 5 into a decimal number. So we've got 5.00, take away 3.85. Really simple. And we can go ahead and do that there. 0 take away 5, we can't do that. So we're going to have to exchange. That becomes 10. Exchange again. So 10 take away 5 is 5. 9 take away 8 is 1. 4 take away 3 is 1. So we're left with £1.15. And as we always say, we have to make sure that that goes into the answer box. So we would have £1.15. Very simple. And again, the clue is often that we have 2 marks. So there's normally going to be 2 calculations that we need to do to solve this problem. And the key with seeing these problems is not to be scared. Quite often a question that looks like this, where we've got money and we've got an area to work, quite often these questions want us to do an addition, a subtraction, a multiplication, or a division. So if you see these kinds of problems and setups, just think it's one of the 4 operations that you know how to do, and you just need to work out the 2 steps or the 2 calculations that you need to do. It isn't anything difficult. The only way it becomes difficult normally is when you have this whole number and you may just need to convert that to a decimal. Now, again, this is another good example. We've got some images, but the things that jump to mind straight away are the fact that we've got money in terms of decimals, so £1.64, £1.49, and then we have this concept of paying with a £10 note, which is essentially a whole number, okay? So again, we've got 2 marks available. So the likelihood is we're going to need to do 2 calculations. We've also got this concept of change here. How much change does John get? Now, if you remember, change, I'm just going to write this up here. Change is equal to the need to do a subtraction, because change is the difference between the 2 numbers, okay? So with this question, what it's asking us to do is to add these 2 together. We'll get a mark for that. And then whatever this equals, we need to subtract it from this. So there's an add to do and there's a subtraction to do. And that will give us our answer. So let's go through the process. So John buys 1 toy car and 1 pack of stickers. Okay, £1.49. So let's just do this. So we've got £1.49, add £1.64. Just going to rub that out. Just made a little presentation error. So we'll put that back in, and there we go. So we can add this up really simply. 9 add 4 is 13. So we're going to carry the 1. 4 add 6 is 10. Add the 1 is 11. Carry that over. So then we've got £3.13. Now this £3.13 is what is the amount that we have spent, and we need to find out the change, so we need to subtract this from £10. So again, we're going to need to make 10 a decimal, so that's going to be 10 two decimal places, and we're going to subtract £3.13, £3.13, making sure that we have our place value. And again, we can do this really easily. We're just going to have to exchange along. 0 take away 3, we can't do that. The only place we can exchange from is here. So that becomes 0, and that becomes 10. And we're going to exchange along. That becomes 9, and again, 9, and 10. So 10 take away 3 is 7. 9 take away 1 is 8. Got our decimal in the same column. 9 take away 3 is 6, and there's nothing remaining to happen. So £6.87 is our change. And again, we need to make sure that that value, just going to change the colour, 6.87. So we've got £6.87 as the change. So again, going back to the fact that if we spot the word change, we really need to see the concept of a subtraction. Change is subtraction. The problem here is this whole number, and there's 2 steps to it to get the marks. So relatively simple, and these questions are relatively common. And as I said in the last question, when you see this type of layout with a few images and then this area to work out and 2 marks, this is signaling to you that 2 marks are available, and you are probably going to need to use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and or division. Okay, so 2 steps in this problem, we've had to do an addition, and then we've had to do a subtraction. Okay, so the question is testing your ability to add decimal numbers and subtract decimal numbers as well. Now here's another question, and again, these are very, very common in your SATs, so you should be paying attention, and these are easy marks. So the first thing that I'm spotting within the question is we've got £1.39 and we've got a £5 note. So again, the problem that we've got here is that 5 is written as essentially a whole number, the number 5, and £1.39 is a decimal because we've got pounds and pence. So we just need to be aware of that. And it says Kirsty buys 1 litre of apple juice for £1.39. She paid, so the 1 litre is a little bit of a red herring because actually it's not relevant to the question. It's just saying she's bought a litre of apple juice for £1.39. She pays with a £5 note. How much change does she get? And there's this magic little word again of change. You should be in your head, or whoever you sat watching this with should be saying change is equal, or is a signal for you to carry out a subtraction. Okay, just reiterate that change is prompting you to subtract. So again, the problem here is really straightforward. The only difficulty is that we need to lay this out as a decimal number if we're doing it as a written problem. All right. Now you may be able to see that the answer is £3.61, I think, off the top of my head, but we can check that now by just doing it out. And the thing you might notice is, well, you might say, well, Andrew, there's no space here to carry out that calculation. Well, you just use the empty spaces available and use your ruler and just lay it out very, very neatly. So we've got 5.00, which is £5, take away £1.39. Very simple. 0 take away 9, we can't do it, so we need to exchange. We've done that really effectively. 10 take away 9 is 1, 9 take away 3 is 6, and 4 take away 1 is 3. So we're left with £3.61, which is what I said it would be. And then we need to make sure that that is transferred. And again, we've only carried out 1 calculation, so we're only getting 1 mark. This one wasn't a 2-step problem, but again, very, very straightforward. And all it's really testing is your ability to either know the difference between these 2 numbers mentally, or to be able to carry out a decimal subtraction from a whole number. And again, this is just something that you would do on your arithmetic test again and again and again. The only difference is it's just presented in a real life problem with money. Okay. And again, the common thing that you will encounter is you will have to pay with a note or a £2 coin or a £10 note, and you will end up subtracting pence. So we need to get into this situation over here. Okay. And remember, change is asking you to do a subtraction. So again, with this problem, the first thing we just need to highlight off a few of the things that we need to be aware of. So we've got potatoes are £1.50 a kilogram, and we've got carrots are £1.80 a kilogram. Jack is going to buy 1.5 kilogram of potatoes and half a kilogram of carrots. Now, again, you can see we're in this situation of how much change, and we're going to be spending £5. So we're going to be doing a decimal subtraction. We can preempt that. And we've got 2 marks. So we're going to have to do a few calculations. Now, the key is here, up here, we've got per kilogram, but Jack wants to buy 1.5 of these. And then we've got per kilogram, and Jack wants to buy half of it. Okay, so essentially what we need to do is we're going to need to find out what half of this is and add on, and find out what half of this is and take it away. All right. Now, the easiest thing to do is that if you don't know what half of £1.50 is or what £1.80 is, turning it into pence might just help. So we've got £1.50 is 150 pence, and £1.80 is 180 pence. So straight away, that might help us in prompting the fact that we know that if we don't know what half of 180 is, we may know what half of 18 is. And we know that half of 18 is 9. So this must be 90p over here. And then we've got half of £1.50. Well, we need to know that that's 75. Okay, so we've got 75 pence. So the half amounts are 75p and 90p. So that's going to help us. So we know straight away Jack wants to buy, and again, this is where we need to make some notes. We know that the carrots, half a kilogram of carrots, he only wants half of this. So that's going to be 90p. So we can make a note of that in here. So the carrots are 90. It's equal to 90p. And then for the potatoes, we've got 150p for a kilogram and then 75p for a half. So we need to do a quick addition. 150p add 75p. That's going to be 5. 5 add 7 is 12. Carry the 1. So we've got £2.25. So straight away we know that our potatoes are £2.25. That's here. And we've got our carrots at 90p. We then, so this is doing quite a lot of work that we would need to do quite quickly. Because we need to work out the change from £5, we need to add these two amounts together. So we're going to need to do another quick addition. So I've got £2.25, add 90p. 5 add nothing is 5. 9 add 2 is 11. Carry the 1. So we've got £3.15. And then from there, we need to do a subtraction to get the change. Now, again, I would hope that you would just know the difference between £3.15 and £5 is, what is it? It's £1.85. All right. But if you needed to do a subtraction, we could just take that away from here. So again, finding some space, we've got £5, take away £3.15. Let's do the exchanging. So that's going to be 4, 9, 10. So we've got 10 take away 5 is 5, 9 take away 1 is 8, and then 4 take away 3 is 1. And that is going to need to end up in here to get us the £1.85. Now, a lot of that, you could, if you're confident with your number, I would expect that you would be able to do a lot of that in your head. I'm just making notes to expand on it, but that is how we would solve that question. So again, key little things of understanding halves and so on. But essentially with a lot of these questions, again, we've got the same, very similar layout of an area to work in. We've got some sort of image of money and then change from a whole number where we're going to need to work with decimals. So the reason why I've shown you these question types today is because this question type is very common, where we are most likely needing to find change, which is equal in a subtraction, and we need to find change from a whole number. So the likelihood is, in your SATs papers this year, is that these question types will crop up. So good luck with these. Again, very, very simple. Just when you see these questions, remember, change equals a subtraction, and the likelihood is you're going to need to do some form of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And in all of these question types that we've gone through in this video, all of the questions have required you to do addition and subtraction. So very straightforward for 2 marks. And there's normally 2 or 3 of these in your papers. So it's an easy 6, 7, well, 4, 6 or 8 marks available to you in your SATs papers. Well, week 11 has been a bit of a monster, hasn't it? 3 videos, huge amount of content, but huge amounts of marks available to be earned by mastering these 3 areas. So like I said, we've got our hidden arithmetic questions in the first video, we've got our conversion of units in the second video, and today's video, which is quite a straightforward one, but in most of the questions there was a few steps, is all about converting or being able to manage those whole numbers and those decimal amounts, okay, and how we either add and subtract those. But for me, very straightforward marks, and just a skill that we're bringing in from arithmetic, our written strategies to get those marks. So well done for seeing it through this weekend, or whenever you've been watching this video in the future. These 3 themes will help you immensely be successful within your reasoning paper. I'm going to spend a few hours this week looking to see if I can find some other really common themes, and it may be that next week or the week after I publish a few more super secret themes that are really going to help you smash those SATs papers. And I know reasoning is one of those areas that lots of people worry about. So well done. Hopefully this makes you feel more confident about the reasoning paper. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.